I never thought that one day I would stand right in front of my own daughter, and she wouldn't recognize me. If you are listening to my story, stay with me till the end, because what happened next changed everything. And if you believe that parents should never be forgotten, please subscribe to this channel, because stories like mine need to be heard. There was a time when my life was full, not perfect, but complete. A small house, a loving husband, and a little girl who was my entire world. I still remember the day she was born. I held her in my arms and promised myself something. No matter what happens, I will give you everything. And I did. Every smile she had was my happiness. Every tear she cried felt like my own pain. I raised her with love, not luxury, but love. I made sacrifices, quietly, without telling her, because that is what mothers do. We give without expecting anything in return. Her father passed away when she was still young. That day, my world changed. But I didn't let her feel it. I became both mother and father. I worked hard day and night, sometimes without eating properly, sometimes without resting. But I never complained, because every time I looked at her, I felt strong again. Years passed. She grew up, she studied well, she got a good job, a big office, a respectable position. People started respecting her, praising her, and I felt proud, very proud, because every success she had felt like my own. But slowly, something started changing. Not suddenly, not clearly, but quietly. She started getting busy. Calls became shorter, visits became rare, and then they almost stopped. At first, I understood. She's working, she has responsibilities. I told myself. I didn't complain, because I didn't want to be a burden. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And one day, I realized something painful. I was no longer part of her life. I was just a memory still. I waited. Because a mother always waits. One evening, I decided to visit her. Just once. Without telling her, I wanted to surprise her, to see her, to hug her, to feel that connection again. I wore my simple clothes, packed some homemade food, the kind she used to love, and I went. Her office was big. Modern, beautiful people moving around, busy, important. I stood there, at the entrance, feeling small, out of place. I asked someone, "Can I meet her?" They looked at me, then asked, "Do you have an appointment?" Appointment with my own daughter. For a moment, I couldn't speak. "No. I'm her mother," I said softly. They looked confused. Then one of them said, "She's in a meeting. You can wait." So I waited. Minutes passed, then more. Finally, I saw her walking confidently, talking to someone, looking strong, successful, just like I had dreamed. My heart filled with happiness. I stepped forward, slowly, smiling. Double quotes, beta, I said softly. She stopped, looked at me from head to toe. Her expression didn't change. No recognition, no emotion, just distance. "Yes," she said. "Yes." That one word felt like a wall. "It's me," I said, smiling nervously. She frowned slightly. "I'm sorry. Do I know you?" she said. My heart stopped. For a moment, I thought she was joking. I laughed lightly. "Beta, it's me. You're Amy." Silence. She looked at me again carefully, then shook her head. "I think you are mistaken," she said. Those words felt like something breaking inside me. "I'm not mistaken," I whispered. "I'm your mother." Her face changed slightly, not with recognition, but with discomfort. She looked around. People were watching, and suddenly, her tone changed. Professional. Cold. "This is not the place for this," she said quietly. "If you need help, talk to reception." Help? I wasn't asking for help. I was asking to be recognized, to be remembered, to be seen. Tears filled my eyes, but I didn't cry. Not there, not in front of everyone, because I still had dignity, even if I had nothing else. I nodded slowly. "Okay," I said. And stepped back. She turned around and walked away. Just like that, without looking back, without asking, without caring. And in that moment, I realized something that I was not ready to accept. I had lost her, not physically but emotionally. Completely. I walked out of that office. Slowly. Quietly. Holding the food I had brought for her. Still untouched. That day, I didn't go home immediately. I sat outside, on a bench, looking at people passing by, and I asked myself one question: where did I go wrong? But there was no answer. Because sometimes, you don't go wrong. You just get left behind. Days passed. I didn't try to contact her again, because I understood she had moved on without me. But life was not finished yet, because what happened next, I never expected, and it changed everything. And after that day, I didn't go back, not to her office, not to that moment, not to that pain, because some doors, once closed, should not be knocked on again. I returned home that evening, with the same food in my hands, cold, untouched, just like my heart. I placed it on the table, and sat down. The house was quiet. The same silence that I had once learned to live with, but this time, it felt heavier because now, I wasn't just alone, I was forgotten. Days passed. I tried to distract myself cleaning, cooking, sitting by the window, watching the world move on. But inside, something kept repeating. Her voice, her words. Do I know you? That sentence echoed in my mind again and again, like a wound that refused to heal. But life doesn't stop, even when you want it to. And slowly, reality began to show itself. Money, expenses, needs. I had never thought about it deeply before, because everything I had spent on her, her education, her future, her life, and now, I had nothing left. At first, I managed, using whatever little I had saved. But that didn't last long. Bills started coming, food became limited, and one day, I realized something difficult. I needed to work at my age. After everything, I needed to start again, from zero. The thought itself felt heavy. I had never worked outside like that before. Not like this. Not as someone who needed help, but I had no choice, so I stepped out. Went from place to place, asking, requesting, hoping. Everywhere I went, I saw the same thing. People looking at me, then looking away. Some said, "You're too old." Some said, "We need someone younger." And some didn't even respond. Just silence, rejection, again and again. Until one day, I saw a small notice, cleaning staff required. I stood there, looking at it for a long moment. My heart felt heavy, but my situation was heavier, so I went inside. It was an office, big, modern, familiar, very familiar. My steps slowed down because I recognized it. It was her office, my daughter's office. For a moment, I stopped, thought about turning back, leaving, running away from that place. But then, reality spoke louder than emotion. Okay. Needed this job, not for pride, not for dignity, but for survival. So I walked in. The same reception, the same people, but this time, I was not a visitor, I was someone asking for work. "I'm here for the cleaning job," I said quietly. They looked at me, then gave me a form. No questions, no recognition, no connection. Just a process. I filled it, my hands slightly shaking. Not because of fear, but because of everything this place reminded me of. After a while, they said, "You can start tomorrow." Just like that, no interview, no discussion, because for this job, I didn't need to prove anything. I just needed to exist. The next day, I came early, wearing simple clothes, a scarf on my head, trying to blend in, trying to be invisible, because sometimes, being invisible hurts less. I was given a bucket, a mop, and instructions. Clean the floors, empty the bins, stay out of the way. Double quotes, simple, clear, cold. I nodded, and started working. Step by step, slowly, quietly, the same place, but a completely different role. People walked past me, busy, important, confident, and I moved aside, because now, I was not part of their world. I was just background. Hours passed, and then, something happened. Something I knew would happen, but was not ready for. I saw her, walking down the hallway, the same confidence, the same posture, the same presence. My daughter. My heart skipped a beat, my hands froze. For a moment, everything stopped. Time, movement, breath. She came closer, closer, and then, she passed by me without stopping, without looking, without recognizing, just like before. But this time, it felt different. Because now, I was right there, so close yet completely invisible. I stood there, holding the mop, watching her walk away. And in that moment, I realized something deeply painful. I had not just lost my place in her life, I had lost my identity. In her eyes, I was no longer her mother. I was no longer someone she knew. I was just a cleaner. Tears filled my eyes, but I wiped them quickly, because this was not the place to break. Not anymore. From that day, I worked there every day, cleaning, watching, observing, living two lives, in the same space. One, as her mother, the other, as someone she didn't even see. And slowly, I started noticing things. Her behavior, her tone, her attitude, the way she spoke to others, the way she treated people, especially those who worked under her, and what I saw hurt me even more, because she had changed, not just towards me, but towards everyone, cold, distant sometimes, even harsh. The same way she had been with me, and I kept asking myself, is this the life I gave everything for? Is this the person I raised? But I didn't say anything, because now, I was not there to question. I was there to work, and what happened next, I never expected, because one day, something happened in that office that forced her to see me again, not as a cleaner, but as something she could never ignore, and that moment changed everything. And from that day, I continued working there quietly, silently, invisible, but inside, everything was changing. Every day, I watched her, the way she spoke, the way she walked, the way she treated people, and slowly, I started noticing something I had ignored before. She wasn't just distant, she was harsh, cold, unkind, especially towards those who worked under her. One morning, I was cleaning near her office cabin. The door was slightly open. Inside, she was talking to one of her employees. A young girl. Nervous, scared. I told you to finish this yesterday, my daughter said sharply. I tried, but the girl spoke softly. But what? She interrupted. Excuses don't work here. Her tone was something I had never heard before. Not even when she was a child. The girl's eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry, she whispered. Sorry doesn't fix mistakes, my daughter replied coldly. I stood there, frozen. Because in that moment, I didn't just see my daughter. I saw someone else, someone I didn't recognize, and it hurt. Not because of how she treated me, but because of who she had become. Later that day, something unexpected happened. The same girl collapsed. Right there, in the office, people rushed, panic. Voices. Confusion. I dropped everything and ran. Because no matter who I was, what I was still human. I reached her first. She was unconscious, breathing weak. People stood around, not knowing what to do, and in that moment, instinct took over. I remembered everything I had learned years ago, before my husband passed away, before life changed, before everything was lost. I knelt down beside her, checked her pulse, adjusted her position. Give her space, I said firmly. My voice, loud. Clear. Confident. Everyone stepped back, even my daughter. I asked for water. Someone brought it. I managed her breathing, kept her stable until help arrived. The room was silent, everyone watching me. Not as a cleaner, but as something else. Something more. After a few minutes, she opened her eyes, weak but conscious. A sigh of relief spread across the room, and then, everything changed. Script Part 4. Big reveal. Plus ending. My daughter was looking at me, not casually, not dismissively, but carefully, as if she was seeing me for the first time. Who are you? She asked. Her voice different now. Not cold, not harsh. But curious. I stayed silent, because this moment was not simple. It carried years of pain. Of silence. Of truth. People around us started whispering. She saved her. She knew exactly what to do. She's not just a cleaner. My daughter stepped closer, her eyes fixed on me. Where did you learn this? She asked. For a moment, I thought about lying, walking away, staying invisible. But then, I realized something. This was the moment where truth could no longer stay hidden. I slowly removed my scarf, looked at her and said softly, you used to know me. Silence. Her face changed, confusion, then focus, then something else, something deeper. She looked at me again, carefully, longer this time, and suddenly, her eyes widened as if something inside her clicked. Amy, she whispered. That word, after so long, felt like a storm inside my heart. But I stayed calm, because I was no longer waiting for it. I had already found myself. Yes, I said quietly. I'm your mother. The room fell silent. No one moved, no one spoke, because this was not just a moment. This was truth. Standing in front of everyone, my daughter stepped back, tears filled her eyes. I didn't recognize you, she said, her voice shaking, breaking. I nodded. I know. And those two words carried everything, the past, the pain, the distance. She started crying, not quietly, but deeply, as if everything she had ignored was finally breaking out. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't see you. I didn't understand. I was wrong. I listened, but this time, I didn't break. Because I had already gone through that pain. I had already survived it. I said softly, "It's not about recognizing my face. It's about recognizing my place in your life." She looked down because she understood. For the first time, she truly understood. Days passed after that. Things changed. Not suddenly but slowly. She started talking to me, sitting with me, trying to reconnect, trying to fix what had been broken. But I didn't rush, because I had learned something. Respect cannot be forced, it must be built. And slowly, she changed, not just with me, but with everyone. Her tone softened. Her behavior changed. She became human again, and one day, she said something that stayed with me. I forgot where I came from, and I forgot who made me who I am. Tears filled her eyes. But I won't forget again. I looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't see a stranger. I saw my daughter. Not perfect, not the same as before, but real. And that was enough. I didn't move back in with her. I didn't leave my life. Because I had built something of my own. Something strong. Something peaceful, but I didn't close the door either. Because sometimes, life gives second chances. And if they are real, they deserve to be given. One evening, I sat outside, watching the sunset. The same way I used to, but this time, I wasn't alone, not completely, because I had something now that I didn't have before. Myself, my dignity, my identity, and slowly, my daughter sat beside me, quietly, no words, just presence, and that was enough. If you are listening to my story, please remember this. Never ignore the hands that once held you. Never forget the person who gave you everything. Because one day, you might realize you lost them while they were still there. And if my story touched your heart, please subscribe to this channel, because there are many truths still waiting to be heard.